think we're live. Yeah. And the thumbnails work this time. User 1 got first again. Hello, User 1. You always get there first, don't you? Who was it, by the way, who made that comment about my boiler on Friday's live stream? Something weird's happened. And it's really odd, actually. I know it was one of the first people to arrive because it came up immediately. I think it may have been User 1, actually, who brought this up. Hang on, I'll actually put UFO Twitter on that. Hang on, so I'll just do it again. So I'm just going to retweet that again. I'll just put the UFO Twitter hashtag on, because... There we go. I think they'll be interested in this. Yo, guys, how's it going? Hello, User 1. Hello, Araminta. What's happening? Oh, dear, what's happening? I've got an error message just appeared. Do I sound all right? No one's complaining. Evening, guys. If no one's complaining, then I assume there's no problem. Good evening, Araminta. Good evening, Brando. Woody Black. It's a good thumbnail. I thought I had to choose a different kind of thumbnail, you know. It's an interesting topic, Brando, yeah. You know loads about it. Brilliant. Hello, Kloppite. Hello, Paul Curtis. Ralph Winter, Alliance of Calgon. Charles from Project Camelot, Pride of Dignity. Give Richard D. Hall a special air punch, yeah. Oh, sounds fine. Great, Brando. Thanks. Hello, Bernie Tucker. John Fuse. Is this the Roswell anniversary? Jake, yeah, how a joke. All right, yeah, that's July, yeah. That's good, mate. That's good. Everything seems to be working all right. Araminta's not heard about this before. That's pretty good. Well, that's you'll be learning something new tonight. Well, the first thing I've got to tell you is I got the date wrong. Maybe it's the Mandela effect, or maybe it's probably not, actually. I could have sworn it was January the 24th. That's February the 24th. Hello, E.T. It's February the 24th. Can you believe it? Oh, it's like, so it's a little bit early. I'm a little bit before the 80th anniversary, just a couple of weeks, but that doesn't matter, does it? But Brando has, Charles, he's new. Is Brando new to this? I've not heard that name before, but Charles knows him. Welcome, Brando, anyway. Thanks, Woody Black. Everything seems to be working all right. Body Technician, good evening. Thanks for joining us. Oh, Brando's been teaching and coaching basketball and shoveling snow. Hey, Brando, well, thanks for taking time out of that to join me on this live stream. Hope you guys are all right. Yeah, it's a little bit early. The actual anniversary date is, as David Schultz here says, the 25th of the 2nd, 1942. Not the 1st. For some reason, I could have sworn it was January, but it's not. It's February. It's February. So that's the actual date. I mean, I'm not going to cancel the live stream just because of that, am I? I mean, what would you think of me? You'd be like, really? Oh, Charles is looking after his mum. Oh, that's nice of you, Charles. Yeah, that would be really bad, wouldn't it? If I did that. If I just said, I've got the wrong date, I'm going to cancel the live stream. You'd be just like, what? I'm just going to share this around the place. There's loads of UFO. There's loads of UFO groups I'm a member of. So many, man. I'm a member of like about a dozen. I won't share all of them right now because I've got to do the live stream. But There we go. The thumbnail, I thought I've got to have a different thumbnail, just so I can tell these damn live streams apart. So I thought, oh no, I'll parade Russell as the culprit for the... Because Russell did the Battle of Los Angeles. He caused it. It was his spaceship that caused it, you see. So I thought that'd make a good... So he's the guilty party. I'm going to post it in the richplanet.net Appreciation Society. Yeah. Punch the air for D Hall. Yeah. And there's another... I haven't put anything in this group for a while. That's Aerial Phenomena. It's run by the Scottish lady called Suzanne. And, of course... Okay. Hello, Richard Best. Oh, let's talk about Bigfoot instead. Bigfoot's another time. Oh, Charles says I'm a good sport. I don't agree with him, but we all love Ben. Thank you. Hello, Brian Clare. Cosmic Claire, hello. How are you? Michelle Sovereign, welcome. I've got 21 concurrent viewers. And you look after me when the trolls show up. Thanks, Charles. Yeah, they do still target me at a certain time. I mean, I'm a big, ugly ex-hospital porter. You know, it doesn't bother me. I'm resilient enough to take it. But I do appreciate the support you guys give me. I really do. I told Jason Gleaves I was going to do this stream as well, because Jason Gleaves has written a book about... he's written a book, well, about several cases. He analyses photographs and things like that, and it's all very relevant because he analysed the principal piece of evidence for this, which is the newspaper photograph. Richard Woody Black, why have you got a beef with RDH? I really like his stuff. It's really weird, isn't it? I've said this before. Why is it when anyone takes the mickey out of Richard or just doesn't agree with him, everyone goes, "What have you got against him?" No one ever does that with me. It's like I don't know. Maybe it's because I think a lot of people are scared of Richard. You know, I think they're scared of him. Yeah. And he's not perfect. All I'm saying, he's not perfect. And he can be very unpleasant. He's been unpleasant to me. He's been unpleasant to Miles, and he's on my Abingdon Town Centre list, to put it that way. But I've never said I've never tried to demonise him. I said yes last night. I said on Friday he has the decency not to be one of these bureaucrats, didn't I? Is Erica Luke's in trouble? Oh, man. Charles says that trolls have been... Right. Oh, is Erica Luke's, PJ Hannah, Veltman. They went after Erica Luke's. All principal people, a lot of people get trolls. I mean, I showed you the article I wrote about Linda Moulton Howe, which I put up the other day. Which has kind of got me a lot of aggravation. A lot of people don't like it. Charles says nobody has anything against RDH. He has something against everyone else. Yeah, that's the point. Is he doesn't hesitate to criticise when he feels criticism is necessary, and he's usually wrong. So. You know, he can't. He really can't accept it when he gets that same treatment in return. Claire says I'll bash him from Project. Claire and Lisa were great last night. You know, dealing with that because we had this idiot who came in. I mean, he wasn't. It's not what he was saying. It's just he tried to nuke the bloody thread he tried to nuke the chat box by just posting continuous ridiculous comments so no one else could use it. That kind of behaviour's got to go. Out of Mind. Hello. I've got 24 concurrent viewers. That's not bad. I think we'll get started, shall we? Right. Who's Veltman? Hello, Diazepam. How are you? Welsh sedative salesman. You right, Di Boyle? RDH for PM, says Klopp. I'd love to see Richard D. Hall as Prime Minister, except if that happens, I think you can say the Illuminati is gone. But I don't know anyone called Veltman. I mean, I have like trolls who come under different names. The Team Droik are the ones I get have been after me for the longest. They seem to be the most dedicated. But everyone who makes videos like this, and if enough people watch them, sooner or later you'll get a troll. I'm sorry, Erica Lukes has had trolls. Well, the warning notice is gone now. That's good. Right, E.T.'s asked an important question. Was it an actual craft or just the optical illusion from the many searchlights pointing at the same point of the sky? That's what we're going to come to. That's the question I'm going to attempt to answer this evening. E.T.'s talking about the famous newspaper photograph. Of course, because there is, of course, a famous photograph. I'll just show it to you, actually. And you can see all kinds of... There's the actual... And you can actually see it here. I'll just show it you. Let me just... Well, this is the 75th anniversary. Newspaper. This is the 75th anniversary from 5 years ago. Let me just... Oh, come on. Let me just show you it. Here you go. And here we are. UFOs will know. Battle of Los Angeles nears the 75th anniversary. Well, it's nearing the... This is from, February 2017. It's now, of course, near the 80th anniversary. This is the photograph here. These are searchlights used to guide anti-aircraft artillery. And it says here, searchlights and anti-aircraft guns comb the sky during alarm. And you can see this is the famous photograph here. And now... Unfortunately, the actual original doesn't exist, and that's an important point. I want to come to that. But you can see this is what E.T.'s talking about. There's an object. It appears to be some kind of object. When you zoom in, it looks like a flying saucer or a cigar-shaped craft. Jason Gleaves thinks it's ovoid or cigar-shaped, and that what looks like the superstructure of the saucer is actually just one of the. It's one of the fireballs from the AAA. Okay, I'll just get rid of that. You may have noticed I illustrated the notice for this live stream with that picture. Hello, Villan. Aurora, how do you do? Charles says we don't like bullies or their drones. Nor do I. Claire says that to Claire. Absolutely not. There are 4 lights. Welcome. Body Technician you found it difficult to find this live stream. So if you click your notifications, I know some people do, you should be notified when I go live. But some people have done that and they're not getting notifications. Insert Pi now. David Marler has the original. Well, the negative Insert Pi now. And Out of Mind says the LA event is so interesting. It certainly is. Classic McClare, could it have been an experimental Japanese aircraft? I know next to nothing about the case other than the newspaper writing you've already shown. We're going to explore that as well, Claire. That's another issue we're going to explore. Anyway, let me go now to my lead off, and I'll just give you the details of what happened, and we can discuss what happened. We can discuss the issue. This is an event that happened almost 80 years ago. I thought it was slightly over 80 years. It's actually slightly under. It's known as the Battle of Los Angeles, or the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, or that name actually only came up later on, after the war, but it was a rumoured attack on the continental United States by Imperial Japan. And its response was an anti-aircraft barrage, a massive anti-aircraft barrage. It took place during the night of the 24th of February to the 25th of February, only ended at dawn on the 25th of February 1942. And this was at a time when everyone was terrified, because it was only a short time after the attack on Pearl Harbor, which I've already done a live stream about to mark the anniversary of that, the 80th anniversary of that. So you can imagine you can sense already the time frame, because you're experiencing it yourself if you're a regular viewer. Because you'll know the amount of time between my own 80th anniversary live stream and this one. Well, it's slightly over, as I said. But of course, this was where the US was now at war with Japan, and everyone was expecting a repeat performance of Pearl Harbor, and indeed there had been. Japanese submarines had been active off the coast of California, attacking merchant shipping. Several ships were sunk. And also, the day before this, this is literally the evening before, on the 23rd of February, there was an incident called the bombardment of Elwood. A Japanese submarine attacked the US coastline. It was called I-17, a submarine called I-17, which had torpedo tubes, but also a 5-inch deck gun. The captain was called Commander Kozo Nishino. And what happened was that President Roosevelt was doing a speech at that very, very moment. And apparently the Japanese decided to attack the US at that very time. So at 7 p.m., this is when the speech started on the radio. I-17 surfaced and came to a stop a couple of miles off the shore from a place called Elwood Field, and the deck gun was ready for action. The gunner crew took aim at fuel tanks at the Richfield Aviation site, where there was a lot of aviation oil for the Air Force, for the Army, Air Force, and Navy, and started firing. Now, the sea was quite rough, so they found it very hard to target the gun. So it didn't actually do a lot of damage. Now, there were a few people heard the explosions. They thought it might be internal explosions. They called the police. They called the fire brigade. The shells actually landed wide of their target. One only just missed a place called Wheeler's Inn, and the landlord called the police. The pier at Elwood Park was actually damaged as well. After this broadside, the submarine just gave up and dived and sailed away. But really, it had done its job. It had scared the hell out of everyone. In fact, it was this incident that inspired the decision to intern the US people, Americans of Japanese descent. I talked about that during the lockdown live stream, about how they had locked up. I think it may have been one of the previous lockdown live streams, but the Americans actually interned everyone of Japanese descent into internment camps. I think they may be planning to do the same. And this was really scared people, because people in America in the mainland weren't used to being attacked. The last time the continental United States had been attacked was well over a century ago, during the Anglo-American War of 1812. I mentioned in my video about the January the 6th incident in Washington D.C. That was the last time the Hall of Congress had been attacked. It was the Royal Navy shelled it, and Baltimore as well was shelled. And what happened the following evening? There was actually a blackout. They ordered a blackout. All the lights in Seattle were switched off. It was not enforced, but people who left their lights on were attacked. There were a number of businesses left their lights on, and mobs came around and attacked them. Yeah. So that pretty must have scared people. So by the night of the 24th, everyone was on tenterhooks. Everyone was expecting something to happen. And sure enough, when an alarm was raised, huge anti-aircraft artillery emplacements were put all along the coast. Bunkers were built. Air raid precautions were put into place. The population's school kids were drilled about them. The Navy was out protecting merchant ships. A number of them had been sunk. And there was a warning came back. An alarm was raised on the 24th of February from the Office of Naval Intelligence that an attack on mainland California would be expected within the next 10 hours. And there were many reports of people saying that there were flares, blinking lights, things like that in the sky. They thought were maybe aircraft. So there were several different. The air raid wardens were out in force, And it was in the early hours of the morning, at about 2:25 a.m., that a serious alert took place. Now, most people were in bed at that time, asleep. But most would have been woken up. In fact, several people died of heart attacks because they were so scared. But then suddenly, at 3:16 a.m., the 37th Coast Artillery Brigade began opening fire. They started shooting their machine guns and 12.8-pound anti-aircraft shells into the air at a report of aircraft. All in all, over 1,400 shells were fired. There was an interceptor aircraft were alerted, but the aircraft were not actually deployed. There was no scramble. And this continued really on and off through the night until dawn. 5 people died after being hit by stray anti-aircraft shells or by shrapnel from something, because apparently shrapnel was falling, which means the shells were actually impacting on something or were detonating. Some of them may have detonated at a certain altitude, but there were. But you can see from the photograph, in some of the more detailed photographs, there is something there. There was 3 were killed in car accidents, 2 heart attacks attributing to the stress, and of course the press had a field day. There was also rumours that there was a cover-up. Now there was still talk about aliens at this stage. No one was mentioning aliens, but they said that there was a mysterious reticence about the whole affair that appeared to be some sort of censorship trying to hold discussion on the matter. There were they thought that the government might be keeping information back so as not to scare people. For example, theories that it was a secret submarine base in northern Mexico which the Japanese were using. Also, that they said that there were submarines that could carry aircraft. And this was just science fiction at the time. It turned out later there were actually submarines that could carry aircraft. They were kept in a sealed chamber on board the aircraft, and they had like a launching catapult on the deck. They'd come to the surface and deploy the aircraft. Everyone thought, though, the government aren't telling us the whole truth about this. The Japanese threat is bigger than we've been led to believe. And so at the end of World War II, this is very strange, at the end of World War II, the Japanese actually declared that they hadn't flown any airplanes over California. They deployed submarines, they deployed ships, but no aircraft. The US Office of Air Force History concluded that the alert was caused by, you can guess, can't you? Weather balloons. Those weather balloons, though, you've got to love those weather balloons. I mean, they're just perfect, aren't they? They can just be explained as everything. Oh, yeah. There was lots of talk about, why did they not send aircraft? Why were the air defences not adequate? There was AAA on the ground. There was machine guns, heavy machine guns, 50 caliber, but they didn't send up the airplanes to take on the Japanese airplanes. The Americans didn't deploy their own aircraft. So, well, and by the way, there's a place called the MacArthur Museum by Los Angeles Harbor, and every February the 24th they hold an event called the Great LA Air Raid of 1942. It's like an entertainment event which commemorates it every year. So that's something to go to, I think, if you're into UFOs. That's the thing to go to. Oh, let's go through these comments now. Tim the Pigeon Master, welcome. I won't be able to go through all these comments you've been posting during the. I might be able to go through some of them. Was it a dress rehearsal for a fake alien invasion, says Woody? I don't think that idea had come to them back then. I mean, some people say that it might have been because they said that the War of the Worlds of 1938, the famous radio play by Orson Welles was like a psychological test. If it was going back that time, if it went back that far, I don't know. But Charles says, stop calling it a battle. No one fired back, so it was more of an air ambush. Yeah, it wasn't a battle because there was no enemy. It was a false alarm, so it wasn't a battle. But the false alarm of Los Angeles doesn't sound very good, Charles. You see, it really doesn't. There was no air raid. There's something called the Great Los Angeles Air Raid. It was not Los Angeles. It was not an air raid, was it? Where's Karate Nihilist is not here this evening? Where's Bowler Hat Man? Oh, Terry Joyce. Hello, Terry. I've got Terry Joyce here. Welcome, Terry. You're in California. Yep, I know. I don't know how much you know about this, because it's a local thing for you. But Villanora has mentioned this. Oh, Nihilist Lives Matter says this as well. The Japanese did have these things called shoji balloons, and they were literally big balloons loaded with explosives, and they just let them go, from ships and things like that. And they just blew over a certain part of they didn't actually target them. They couldn't target them properly. And eventually the balloon, which was made of paper, would eventually wear out. It would get soggy and burst. And the bomb would drop. Claire says, could this have been a false flag to promote anti-Japanese sentiment? Probably. If so, then there's been no evidence of that. It's very different from. This is very different from Pearl Harbor. As you know, from the live stream I did about Pearl Harbor, there are distinct suspicious elements to that. Whereas there's none with this particular event. I think it wouldn't actually have been necessary to promote anti-Japanese sentiment, because that's kind of like carrying coals to Newcastle at that time, isn't it? So, you've not heard of this, Terry? Oh, right. Hello, Barry Fridge. How do you do? Do I drink Stella? Yeah, sometimes. Well, Terry, I'll tell you, you can find out a lot about it, yeah. Happy anniversary, says Terry. I've been asked to confess I got the wrong date, but it's actually next month on the 20th. I thought it was the 24th of January. It's the 24th of February, so I'm a little bit early. So when I realised I'd made a mistake, I could have cancelled the live stream, but I don't think you'd have liked that, would you? Where's Bowler Hat Man? He's not here. Bolly has challenged me to a debate. Well, he was desperate. Do you remember last night? He was desperately trying to get me to go onto his live stream. Claire, that's correct. We did Pearl Harbor. We did the 80th anniversary of Pearl Harbor, yeah. Steve Mumbling still hasn't got here, has he? But Bowler Hat Man's not turning up. He actually sent me the StreamYard link, and I wrote back and I said, look, I'm not gonna, as I said to you, I'm not going to drop everything I'm doing and debate you now. I'll do it another time. And I wrote back to him. He sent me an email, the first email I've had from him from years. And I wrote back to him and I said, I'm not going to do it this evening, but just give me another date and I'll happily debate you on your live stream. And he hasn't replied, so and he's not here tonight. So I think he may have decided to ghost me again. I don't know. So the photograph, let's see if I can get a better. There's all kinds of different versions of this photograph. This is the print. I'll just show you the print from the archives. Some are better quality than others. Now, there's some that are very good quality which are not real. They're just fake. Here we go. What's this? This is the print which was used in the newspaper. One sec. That's the print from the newspaper. And you see here there's a building. There's hillside here. There's some landscape. These are the searchlights, all focusing from various different angles onto an object here. These spots around it are basically detonating artillery shells and bits of shrapnel. and you can see bits falling down as well. Some people were killed by falling shrapnel. A stray shell hit something, and then people were killed by falling shrapnel. I can't remember all the details. But there were several others. There's been some animated versions of that, because there was a film. There was actually a film that came out in 2011 called The Battle of Los Angeles. It's absolutely trash. It's useless. It's rubbish. It really is. But it's this film here. Here we go. You can see the cover there, The Battle of Los Angeles. It's from 2011. It's contemporary, and the scenario in the film is that the aliens basically come back to Los Angeles to finish the job they started in 1942, and there's a big battle and lots of rather a very shallow plot. Not much going on there. It's rubbish. I mean, you might like it. I thought it was crap. I thought it was kind of like Independence Day. Almost as bad. But the problem is... Hello, Crafty Nihilist. How you doing? Well done. Fashionably late. Definitely. Thanks for joining us. Diego Rivera mentions the 1938 Orson Welles War of the Worlds. Yeah. You're on the train home. Did you have a good time? Wherever you were. Now, this is... Charles says this is the enhanced one. Well, that's actually... The thing is, there are no versions of that printer not enhanced. This is the big problem with that, unfortunately, with that piece of evidence. The image was retouched. It had an artist added extra whiteness to it and things like that before it was broadcast to make it look better. That was standard practice. It's still used sometimes in journalism. Villanova says, did witness saw shells bouncing off? Yeah. Timothy Good mentions that. Yeah, but that photograph, unfortunately, it's very interesting. It's not definitive though. It's not definitive because the original print was retouched, and that was the print that was used in the newspaper. And then researchers went looking for the original negative, because that's really what you need. You can't really get much out of that photographs decisively unless you could find the original negative, and you can't. It's gone. It's gone. Either it's been lost, or someone's nicked it, or it's been taken. Maybe the FBI took it. I don't know. Hello, Francisco Zubaran. A new alien signal has been detected. It repeats every 18.8 minutes. 18 minutes, yeah. I don't know if it's an alien signal, Francisco. I know what you're talking about. It's from a strange... It's from a strange location, 4,000 light years away. And it appears to have a regular pulse. Now, as you know from my SETI video, when pulsars were detected in the late 60s, the astronomer who detected them called them LGM, little green men. She was absolutely convinced that this had to begin with, this had to be some kind of a product of intelligence, because it was a regular pulse. Turned out it wasn't, though. It was actually a natural object. Natural objects can do that. Yeah, Charles says it should have been left alone so everyone can see that it was a weather balloon. Well, unfortunately, you can't actually see that it's a weather balloon. Weather balloons get blamed for everything, can't they? If it had been left alone, then maybe it would reveal something different to what it does. But it's annoying that a negative was lost. Yeah, says Vrillon. Yeah, that's very annoying. Vrillon Aura says the wow signal. Vrillon, your name comes from that, doesn't it? No. Sorry, that's the Vrillon. That's the TV thing, the TV interruption. The wow. Watch my SETI video, guys. But what you see in that picture, Timothy Good actually talks about this. He mentions it in his book. It's not Unearthly Disclosure. I think it's Need to Know. Hello, Ferdinand Golia. How are you? He made the point, he said, because he'd done some research into this, that there was definitely a large object there It's very, very well targeted. You can see that the contact is very, very strong because the multiple searchlights are focusing on the same location. So obviously the different artillery batteries and the searchlights that go with them could see it very clearly, and they were firing on it. And now Gareth Davis, God rest him, mentioned this on an episode of The Mindset. Now I can't remember which one it was. I can't remember which episode of The Mindset it was, but one of the Mindset podcasts, Gareth talks about it, how he knew people who had seen it, and that it actually, if I find out which episode it was, I'll let you know. But I did loads. I did over 140. I actually did over 200 altogether shows with Gareth. But he said that the object actually did move inland and hovered and moved over parts of Los Angeles. And Gareth knew people who had seen it, old people who had seen it. Thanks for joining us, Ferdinand Golia. Charles says, Timothy Good, is that the guy that even Art Bell kicked off his show for being too unbelievable? I doubt it, because Timothy is a very, very sort of level-headed chap. He's a well-spoken English guy. He's actually a musician. He plays violin in an orchestra professionally. And he's a ufologist. He's a very, very prolific UFO author. Hello, Deansy. How are you? I miss Gareth too, yeah. Oh yes, Claire. You may be thinking about Nick Pope, the Popester, the Popey, who's a twat. He's a complete twat. I blocked him. He was very rude about things. His behaviour's suspicious and he's downright rude. John Nolan, hi Ben. Was Linda Moulton Howe ambushed? John, I told you about the article I wrote about Linda Moulton Howe. I don't know if you saw it. I did actually show it people on the previous live stream. Charles says, I'm getting old, just like yourself. We all are at the same rate, aren't we? I'll talk more about Linda Moulton Howe and the things to do with her in the next UFO disclosure video. Okay. But thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for joining us. So it appears from what I've seen that there was something there. Oh, Charles says, do the Nick Pope voice, drunk voice. All right, yeah. I'll come back to the. All right, I mustn't lose track of what I'm talking about. But in the 2011 Exopolitics conference in Leeds, Claire says I've got a copy of Tim Good's Above Top Secret yet to read it. It's an absolute classic, Claire. I recommend it. I really do. And Gnarly Matter says I understand Timothy Good played violin on a U2 album. He did. He's also played with. He's also played with Rod Stewart and Phil Collins. He's recorded with them, and he tours with his orchestra regularly. Well, Trip, I haven't seen TR's thing yet. I can't say it on YouTube, unfortunately. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard good things about it. Yeah, the Exopolitics Leeds 2011. We were all together. No one sort of like knew where we were going to go. We none of us had been to Leeds before, and Miles was there. He says, "Follow me," and we all followed him. And he walked off in his fast pace, like he always does. And he found a pub within about 5 minutes. He can like smell them. He can smell pubs, Miles. He's like, because it's the Irish in him. He can just he can smell them. So he went to this pub. It's the same incident where Richard Dolan was being a twat, and I almost punched him. He was being. I won't. I could tell you a bit more about that, but I won't. But I've told you before about Richard Dolan. And then Nick Pope was knocking it back like no one's business. You know, he had about three pints lined up to go with, and he was pissed way before everyone else was. And I've seen him drunk before. He was drunk in 2008 in Glastonbury as well. He was debating with Ian R. Crane, and he leans over. He sort of goes like this. He goes like that at me. He's across the table from me, and he goes like that. And there's green light coming in because there's like a kebab emporium or something next door, and there's like a neon sign outside it, and there's green light coming into the pub through the window, and it's shining on his face. And he's going like this. He's going, He looks really spooky. Can you imagine Nick Pope drunk, dribbling, with green light shining on his face, his glasses kind of glinting? He says, "Ben, do you know where I've been today?" And I says, "No, Nick, where have you been?" "Before I came to the conference, I went to BBC Manchester." I said, "Oh, that's nice. That's nice, Nick. So what happened? I was proposing an idea for a programme. It's like Britain's Got Talent, and I'm on the panel, except we have to work out who the real alien abductees are." And I said, "Right, that's nice, Nick. That's very nice." I was trying to back away from him like that. Oh, but I mean, obviously that program was never produced. Did they name it? Did they name the Above Top Secret Forum after the book? Someone was asking. I'm just going through these comments. Claire, do read Above Top Secret. It's very good. Yeah. Villon, get the tea and biscuits, Nick, and the. Yeah, Nick Pope. He's in. He's in the United States now. He's married to this very attractive American lady. And there was like a photograph. There was this photograph of them together, and he publicly put it online. Now I blocked him, so I can't see it, but someone shared it on a group. And there's this really, really very attractive lady, gorgeous young woman, and next to him is Nick. And I thought it reminded me of the photographs of Marilyn Monroe standing next to Arthur Miller. The difference is that Arthur Miller makes up for it for having a brain, having a good brain. And Nick doesn't. Richard Best says, hang on, is the Linda Moulton Howe thing to do with the car crash interview she had with the Theory of Everything interview? Yes, it is. Richard, go to her Panama Voice. I've written an article about it. I'll cover it in detail I'll cover it again in my next UFO disclosure video. Okay. Oh, Charles says, well, Brian Cox is a musician. You don't find him credible. Double standard, Ben. I don't know. I think an intelligent, sophisticated man playing a violin in a classical orchestra is not quite the same as some bloke like doing hip gyrations next to a keyboard, yelling, "Things can only get better." Oh. Claire, you'd have loved it. Yeah, you missed the exit. It was good. And this is in the good old days of conferences, and there were some really great ones. It's sort of like things gone down, yeah. It's gone downhill since then. Francisco says, UFO fight in a pub. No, I managed to control myself. I was really angry with Richard Dolan's conduct. As Charles says, he's been a twat to a lot of us. Yeah, I'm not the only one. I'm glad it's nothing personal with me, because I mean, I was there. I had a press pass. Anthony, the organizer, had very kindly given me a press pass for the conference, and I can't. And this wasn't the one where I was emceeing. That was another one. That was later on. But either way, I was there in an official capacity. You can't go punching the speakers when you're there in an official capacity. Charles is trying to get me to admit I admire Brian Cox. I don't. I think he's a cock. No, this Lives Matter says everyone calls him the British Fox Mulder. Yeah. Charles says Goldberry and Tom Bombadil. Oh, Nick can't make up rhymes like Tom Bombadil. Welsh, I can't talk. I don't know. Alex Collier, I don't know enough about him. Claire, I haven't checked out Claire's mentioning the Dark Journalist. I haven't checked him out lately. I think he's very good. Of course, Claire, you live in Leeds, don't you? Yeah. Vrillon says how Nick Pope got involved with Bridget Grant. I will never know. She was really a nice-looking lady. Is this one of his girlfriends? I know he was dating this woman called Tabitha, who had a UFO website. I can't remember what it was, but I met Tabitha, and I sort of like communicated with her a bit. But his wife's called Elizabeth now. Diego Rivera, has there ever been a fight at a UFO conference? According to, yes. Apparently it was, who was it? Who told me? Was it Malcolm Robinson? It was either Steve Mera or Malcolm Robinson told me there was a punch-up in the middle of a UFO conference, long time ago, back in the 80s. Yeah. Claire says, Dark Journo is part of my essential weekly viewing. Good thing he doesn't stream on Thursday evenings. Of course, Claire. You can't miss the Herpanwo show, can you? Well, I catch his stuff. I often download his videos and I convert them to audio. I rip the audio and then put them on my earphones for work. Oh, Vrillon says she was an abductee. Bridget Grant was an abductee. Something... Was I there? I don't remember. Bridget. Oh, no, I think you're thinking of the... Yeah, Bridget... Her name's not Grant. What's her name? Barclay. No, she wasn't Nick's girlfriend. Nick was kind of like counselling her. She's a former model. She was a page 3 girl and everything. And then she started speaking about her alien contact experiences. And, David Schultz says, Ben, have you ever viewed Philip K. Dick's The Man in the High Castle? Yeah. I did a review of it on Herpanwo Voice. It's my old blog, which hardly any of you read. Did she change her name, Vrillon? Maybe she did. Welsh Ripper says, the Gateshead Grey I find hard to believe. I don't think Richard stands by that anymore. I don't know. Because apparently the guys are dead now. The witnesses are dead. The two witnesses he interviewed. Hello, Lights Below. How do you do? Vrillon, Bridget was really lovely. I mean, she was like, she's got a wife, she's got a husband and kids, you know, she's not Nick's girlfriend. But when she was younger, she did like modelling for Playboy and The Sun and things like that. But she has recently since then come out with her talk. She talks about her contact experiences, and she's pretty good. I mean, she's very brave actually to do that. And she speaks she doesn't really have a filter though. She just speaks to anyone about it in good faith, and she kind of thinks that they're going to treat her respectfully. And of course, the BBC and other TV networks don't. She was on that bloody documentary that they asked me to be on, and I refused. The Conspiracy Road Trip. Do you remember that? Do you remember the Conspiracy Road Trip? She was on that, and they ridiculed her. They wouldn't let her do a lie detector, and yeah, it's bloody awful the way they treated her. Hello, Jake Yorkman. They wrote to me asking if I wanted to be on it. I said, I didn't say fuck off, but I just said I thought that when I was replying to them, and I said no, thank you. Vrillon, yes, she's very sincere, and her sincerity, of course, is going to be exploited by people who just want to make us look really, really stupid and make us look really bad. Clockbot says, talking about aliens, Ben, do you believe in alien big cats? Yes. I mean, it's not really a belief. I mean, the proof is there. Do you ever follow the Centre for Fortean Zoology? They've done research projects into these things. They're everywhere, and they've been around for a long time. Yeah. Nihilist Lives Matter mentions the Conspiracy Road Trip 9/11. Yeah, that was the one with Charlie Veitch where he did his big mea culpa and dropped the conspirasphere. Today he sort of walks around Manchester trying to wind people up so they'll go for him, and he can like make videos about it. But that was bloody awful. I mean, as I know, I've done a video about Charlie. I think people should have left him alone. I mean, the hate campaign against him was really over the top, and it was counterproductive. Yeah, he's full of himself, and he's he's made a massive blunder, but he doesn't deserve to have people threatening to harm his wife and kids. That's... John Nolan says, Richard Dolan has a nice-looking wife too, also. Yes, well, dickheads like him always do, don't they? They always do. I mean, I respect the man professionally, but I've socialised him with about 3 times, and I couldn't bear him. I couldn't abide him. As I said, I was there in an official capacity. Otherwise, I could have come to blows with him. Besides, I think, is he split up with Tracy Garbutt now? I met Tracy Garbutt. She was at Awakenings Manchester. She did a very interesting talk about remote viewing. Deedsy said Charlie and Danny Shine fell out. Yeah. Apparently it was Danny who abandoned Charlie. They had a little bit of a reconciliation at Christmas, I remember. Cloppite's talking about the Manchester Arena bombing. I think that was something I never really took seriously until I watched The Night of the Bang, the Rich Planet documentary. It's irrefutable that it's not as it seems to be. It really is not. Araminta says, I've seen an alien big cat. A black... Yeah. In an old quarry in West Wales. There's lots of them in Wales, yeah. I think they come from... They basically escape from zoos and things like that. And the Centre for 40s and Zoology does a really interesting take on it. And they actually do kill sheep. They haven't gone for any human, but... Yeah. Ferdinand Gollier, do orders to mock ufology on TV come from above? Yes. In fact, it's provable. The Cutler Twining memo. Official ridicule and denial. They say it. They literally say official ridicule and denial. And they talk about the necessity to make people perceive them in that way, the general public. It's interesting to think that the 1947, where the Kenneth Arnold sighting happened, and Roswell, and that's when the Cutler Twining memo was written. The Los Angeles incident happened like 6 years earlier. There's been other major UFO events that happened long before 47. Oh, my ear's itching. Oh, dear. Villon, I heard that Tracy and Richard Dolan are split up. Yeah, I heard that. I don't know if it's true. He'll find someone else. He'll find someone else probably equally gorgeous. It was it said, the bigger the prat, the better the bird. Yeah. Yeah, Richard D. Hall is capable of doing better than he has done in recent months, and he has done better. And it's sad that he's relapsed, he's regressed so much. I do hope he attains his former glory. Diego Rivera, do I think all aliens are connected to the AI agenda? No, I don't think so. I think they're separate from that. The Lights Were Low says, Ben, why do you think, based on his other views, Mark Devlin has gone with the flat Earth idea? I don't know. I was surprised, actually. I mean, I don't hold it against him. I mean, I know lots of people who believe in the flat Earth. I mean, I think they're wrong, but it doesn't mean that we should write them off. I know some people who will. They will literally... Andrew Johnson just blocks people the moment they start talking about that flat Earth. Jarrell White of the Apollo Detectives, he can't bear to be around people who believe this. All I can say is, I think they're wrong. I've done debates with flat earthers. If you listen to her Panama Radio, I've done several debates. Welsh Ripper says, you've seen an alien big cat. Is this it? Or do you mean a UFO? Do you mean a cat or a big cat or a UFO? But he says at Trebanog in the Rhondda Valleys. You saw a black cat in the Rhondda Valley. I was there. Like a few months ago. I didn't see anything strange. Araminta says, I spoke to a retired police officer who walked into a house and saw a lion club sitting on the settee. it's to do with the Dangerous Animals Act. Yeah, people often like abandon their pet big cats. They were allowed to keep like big cats as pets, although I assume they had to feed them regularly. If they forgot to feed them, they might end up on the dinner plate themselves. But you were allowed to keep like lions and tigers and bears and things like as pets. And then when the law came out, they just decided to like just abandon them, just throw them out. And of course, cats are very independent. They're not like dogs. Cats will, at the moment you cast them out, if you abandon them, they just look after themselves. Vrillon says Nick Pope was part of the ridicule program on this side of the pond. Yeah, both sides of Vrillon, I think. Claire says that Mark Devlin's gone down in her estimations about that. And it's... I mean, I would... I know you feel that way. It doesn't bother me as much as it bothers you, Claire. But I think he's made a mistake there. But I don't write people off. Luke Bryce says the Battle of LA was intriguing. It is indeed. It's tantalising because something big did happen. Something major really did happen. It wasn't just like... Because there were all kinds of like panic, products of panic over the entire West Coast at that period after Pearl Harbor. This was something a bit more substantial in that, weapons were... The order was given to open fire. There was massive amounts of... there was a massive fusillade of anti-aircraft attacks. So something was up there. They did see something. I don't think it was just a weather balloon. Hugh Jarsel says, Bridget Barclay is the only witness I can relate to as her experiences are similar to yours. All right, Hugh. David, hello, David, Splendid Isolation. You could tell that Tracy adored Richard Dolan. Or maybe they're still together, I don't know. Kloppite's talking about crop circles, wondering if we'll see any crop circles this year denouncing the deceivers. It's too early to say. I mean, the season won't begin for a couple of months. Araminta says, Richard Dolan seems such a mild-mannered person. You shocked me, Ben. I wouldn't have thought he'd be a twat. Well, don't judge him on my experience, Araminta. I mean, this is just, it could be chemistry. It could be a clash of personalities between me and him. He may get on, you may meet him and find him very, very pleasant. I just found I didn't like him, and Charles himself doesn't either. Charles had a similar experience to me with him. Charles says, I just think RDH couldn't accept that it was mostly absolute rubbish, so he's in a fugue state over it. No, he's... As I've said before, he won't speak to people. He shut himself off from everyone else, apart from Andrew Johnson, and he sometimes invites a couple of other people in. He despises everyone else, it seems, and refuses to have anything to do with them. As a result, he makes massive mistakes because he's essentially seeing. He's not exchanging information with others, as I do. I regularly study what other people have to say. Richard considers the work of other people so worthless he doesn't look at it. He's effectively said so. He said, he just mentioned Joe Rogan, and he said, I had a quick look at his website. Oh, he's not the sort of person I want anything to do with. I had a quick look at his website, and he denounces him. It's the stuff he said. I mean, I mentioned this in my last UFO disclosure video. That's what he talked. It was almost so predictable. What he said about Lou Elizondo, but he won't look at it properly. He wheels in Peter Hyatt, and that's all he needs. If he wants to use that methodology, it's up to him. But he's going to blow it if he does. If he does that. Luke Bryers, there's a website called Crop Circle Connector which keeps a record of all of them. Alliance of Calgon, we're not going to start a flat Earth debate tonight, are we? Oh dear. Vrillon Aura asked Tristan Swale if he knows Luke. Oh right, well, you may have seen Matthew Williams' videos about Tristan. I put a comment on there saying what I thought of Tristan, about my own experience with him, and basically I want nothing to do with him. Yeah. Villain Aura talks about, yeah, oh right, Aurora, Texas, yeah. And I saw Jim Mars, UFO crash 1897, yeah. That was interesting, wasn't it? That just shows you how far back this goes. I mean, I actually have a scene in the Roswell trilogy about that. If you've read my books, in 1897, some kind of object crashed into a place called Aurora in Texas, and there was a body. There was a dead body in it, and it was buried in the local cemetery. And a lot of ufologists applied for permission to dig it up, including Jim Mars. In the 70s, there was like a big investigation. They managed to get hold of some of the last of the witnesses. They're very old now. They were kids at the time. And the local authorities wouldn't allow them to exhume the grave because of rights of sepulchre. I think every country has laws like this. You can't just dig up a grave. It's a serious criminal offence, even if the beneficiary of that law is an extraterrestrial being. Anyway, there were several people. The authorities were concerned. They were afraid that people would just go in and try and rob the grave anyway. So they stationed a police officer continuously to guard the cemetery in Aurora. And then one day, Jim and the others went back and they found that the grave had been tampered with. It had actually indeed, the body had actually indeed been exhumed, and no one knows who did it. It's quite likely it's probably the FBI. Because they knew at some point someone was going to dig up this alien, so they thought we better get in and dig it up ourselves and take it somewhere safe. Hello, Mark Murphy. How you doing? DD says Travis Walton is the most credible story to me. It's very interesting, yeah. Charles says, Ben, the radar guys were rookies who panicked. Look into it. They panicked. There's nothing in the research documents I found. I couldn't see any reference to that. Whether if that happened, it could have caused the reaction it did for the anti-aircraft forces, again, and the evidence, whatever it was they were shooting at, which you see in the picture. Obviously, there's something there they're shooting at. The thing is, Charles, everyone was panicking at that time. Everyone, not just rookies. Everyone. That the fear was palpable. Everywhere. Pearl Harbor was the 9/11 of its time. Diego Rivera says, "Is there a Welsh and Scottish Bigfoot?" Yeah. You know, have you seen my my videos about it, and English too? Charmaine Fraser, my interview with Charmaine Fraser. Huge article says Dolan and Pope have made lots of money through the media news, etc. I'm not sort of like bothered about people making money. I mean, if people want to earn a living from their work, that's fine by me. But I think Dolan. I think is an honest. He's intellectually honest in terms of his UFO research. I believe. I know some people disagree, and I'll cover that. You know, the old guy in the old people's home, things like that. But Pope, on the other hand, I think he's actually the things he said. I think he's kind of like he's a bit like Richard Doty, actually, Pope. Except Doty confessed. Doty confessed to what he did. I mean, you may have seen the interview that Mark Pilkington did with him on his documentary. Doty's come clean and said, I was a disinformation agent. I went into the UFO community to recruit people to a spy ring called Avery, and to get them to get information from other people in ufology and spread fake stories. Kloppite, thoughts on Billy Meyer, Ben? I don't know much about him. He took some photographs I think were found to be fake, but you always get that, don't you? Yeah, Charles, this is very perceptive. Charles says, Dolan doesn't like anyone else talking in the room. He blows his stack when all the attention isn't on him. Exactly, yeah. He's one of these people who's got to be the centre of a conversation. And I mean, honestly, and he was deliberately antagonising me. I was sitting there with Sue Stain, my girlfriend, and he was like really flirting with her right in front of me. It's disgusting. It's just, and he was deliberately like cutting me out of the conversation. Honestly, I could have punched his lights out. I could have done. Am I recording? Yes, I am. I just thought, like, if this stream goes down for any reason, I've got a recording which I'll put on alt tech. Right, Welsh Rippers is the Croydon cat killer. That's like, that's Richard D. Hall did a thing, didn't he, on Rich Planet? There was this, he said that there was some, that's like, it was like one of the mutilation things, isn't he? Claire says, Lou Elizondo is obviously a CIA shill. I don't think he is obviously, Claire. It's something we've got to be wary of, but I don't think he may not be. Diego Rivera says, why do ufologists have stage names? Do they? Luke Bryce, I know Deborah Hatswell. I actually interviewed her, and she appeared at this conference I organised, helped organise. Michelle Sovereign, if aliens land and want to destroy our leaders, they'll be confused by our joyous response. Ferdinand Collier, yeah, I was sad when he died, Jim Mars. He was great, yeah. Hello, Hugo Rune. Don't worry about being late, mate. Charles says spacesuits are lined with gold. I might rob a grave for that. Yeah, well, like the ones in Egypt, you know. The Lights Below says, all right, you're asking me about Capel Green. The latest news is it's still active. I'm still in touch with people on the inside. It's still an active project, but I don't know. I don't know when it's going to appear. I'm sorry, I don't. Araminta says, stop being so diplomatic, Ben. If you think Richard Dolan's a twat, then he is a twat. I do. I don't think I was being diplomatic. I did say that, you know, I felt like community guidelines him in this pub in 2011. Also, men with status symbol wives. Such women are usually shallow, boring, and very high maintenance. Yeah, I don't know Tracy Garbett. She did an interesting talk. She's obviously not just some bimbo. But some guys like a woman that other men will find attractive because it is a status symbol. They deliberately get together with a woman who will make other men go, oh, isn't he lucky to have her, rather than someone they really care about. Diego Rivera says, what do you believe is the goal of these aliens? Well, which one? Which ones? They seem to have a wide variety of agendas. They exhibit a very, very different kinds of behaviour, and there's many, many different species. Now, Charles brings up an interesting point. Pope was a paper pusher, nothing more. There's been a bit of a revelation about Nick Pope, apparently, and Outer Limits magazine were talking about it, that he was actually committing some kind of stolen valor, and had made up this story about him being on a UFO desk, and that it was just all his like fantasy. He was like a Walter Mitty. I personally think it's a bit more sinister than that. I can't prove this, but I suspect that his job at the MOD was real. The UFO thing may have been put forward as a kind of as a front. But it wasn't that he was making it up. He wasn't like making it up to steal valor. He may have been making it up, or it was made up for him to cover the fact that he was actually working for another government agency, one whose name also begins with M. Oh, where are we now? Okay, just going through. I'm trying to go through these lots of comments because people are making lots of comments here. Cosmic Claire says that Dark Journalist says that Elizondo is a shill. You see, he might be, Claire. He might be, but what if he's not? What if this is a real drive towards willing disclosure? I mean, that's an opportunity we can't afford to miss. I mentioned this, I think, in my last UFO disclosure video. Diego Rivera, is Nick Pope a Catholic? I know, as the Australians say. John Nolan, what do you think of the autopsy hoaxer? Right, the person to ask about that is Colin Woolford. He's not here this evening. He's Blue Wool. He's not here this evening. But he's the expert on the alien autopsy. Villanora says Elizondo did not run that government program like he claims. He is broke, living in a trailer park and shilling for cash with Corbyn. But he see, this is kind of ancient history, Villon. I know that John Greenwald said that. He said he couldn't find any evidence that Elizondo had been part of this. But then, as you know, the information was released in stages. And it turned out, see, I did wonder myself, did ATIP even exist? But then later on, it turned out there was an ATIP. It had several different names. Then it was the UAPTF, and Elizondo was involved. They didn't say what his role was, but he was involved in it. Charles says, Ben isn't wrong. He's actually playing it down. Dolan is an insufferable twat in person. Oh, huge arseholes brought up something. The Manchester Canal disappearances. Someone was on the phone and screamed before vanishing. Yeah, well, they found his body in the water and they said he just fell in. But the weird thing is this Manchester pusher thing, isn't it? I sometimes wonder if Charlie Veitch will encounter it, because he's always walking down those subterranean canals. There's this network of canals in Manchester, which is like below street level. Some of them are actually some of them run through tunnels. Some of them are like in deep cuttings, and they're very, very spooky. They have like towpaths beside them, but there's something a bit weird. Several people they found bodies of people who've fallen in the water and drowned. And several people report that they're walking along the towpath and someone comes up to them and pushes them into the water, the ones who survive. If you fall in, it's actually quite it's difficult to get out, because like the banks are very high, it's often very cold. If you're not a good swimmer, you probably won't survive. But it's the Manchester Pusher, yeah. I'll tell you a good YouTube channel. Bedtime Stories. They do all kinds of like spooky stuff, and loads of spooky things. And as it suggests, bedtime stories. You read these before you go to bed, and you get lights. It's an ironic name. They did like a really long one on the Manchester Pusher. Whether it exists or not, I don't know. Some people are like connecting it to the Men in Black and things like that. But the story about the guy on the mobile phone is true. He made a terrified phone call to his family, and then they found later on his body washes up downstream. Ferdinand Gollis says Richard Dolan did a video or podcast where he said he's a womanizer and he apologised for it. I never saw that. I've never seen or heard that, Ferdinand. Of course, someone like him can be a womanizer if they want. Maybe did he feel guilty about it? I don't know. I mean, I don't know about him. All I know is my own experience with him. Salute, peaceful warrior. How are you? Freelon says, yeah, but Elizondo could have been doing a job like Nick Pope with an American-style coffee cart with donuts instead of a British tea trolley like Nick Pope. Mark Grafty now says, we're home. Mark, get that kettle on. Oh, by the way, Mark, I've left you a PM on Minds. I wasn't on MeWe because I was taking the mickey out of Mark a little bit in my article. And the article where it's basically the notice for the Crafties video about the Oxford event, but I didn't mean any offence. Hello, Michael Snow. Did H.G. Wells stole Grays from Washington Irving for one of his own books, Man of the Year Million. All right. Yeah, Deansy's bedtime stories is great. Ray Wheeling, yes, Thomas Sheridan's very good on things like this. He did his own very good little mini doc on the Manchester Pusher. Hello, Sue Hayward Tonkins. Good morning. Hugo says, "What's this LA battle?" Oh my goodness me, Cleo. If you're going to turn up late, I don't mind, but you'll have to catch up. Oh, Crafty says because he's shit. I made a joke. I said that Mark had cut off our heads more than a FEMA camp guillotine. I didn't mean any harm by it, though. No, this lies matter. Apologising for womanising. Yeah, it could be interpreted as a brag, yeah. Oh, Sue, welcome. Sue's just got up. Sue, could you go and knock on Steve Bumbling's door and tell him to get out of bed, join us? Pat Riot, good evening. How are you? Yes. I just thought he was. Both the Crafties actually acted as camera people, which is very, very good. They filmed two versions of our talks. There was mine. Liz filmed mine, and Mark filmed their own. Cool, Hugo. Yeah, I'll give you the background. I'm not talking about anything. Don't worry. Los Angeles is not under attack. This is something that happened in 1942. It was during World War II, and it was basically there was a lot of no one really knows what it was. Everyone thought it might be a Japanese attack. It wasn't that. Charles says, "Lol, it was a brag." Dolan thinks they're looking at him, but they're looking at his wallet. Oh, right. Yeah, it's one thing about being. At least I don't have to worry about that. No woman is going to take any interest in me because of my money. Welsh Ripper, yeah. Have I heard of the Bridgend suicides? Yes, that's very weird. 54 suicides in Bridgend between 2015 and 2017. 14.4 deaths for 100,000. What the hell is that? What the hell is that about? And a lot of them were young girls, and they hanged themselves and things like that. And it's like these are teenage girls. Now, normally when women of that age commit suicide, the most popular method is poisoning. They overdose on drugs, things like that. Hanging is normally what men do, hanging themselves. What the hell was going on? 54 suicides in just 2 years. In one town. What the hell's going on? Is Bridgend a dark place? I mean, my dad's cousin lives there. He's a Welsh nationalist. I don't know, but I know UK Column did an investigation into that. They said it's just not right. It shouldn't be happening like that. Charles, yeah, I don't think he was actually trying to steal Sewer Stain off me. I just think he was just being very aggressive with me. He was just being very arrogant, and some people just like doing that. They just like upsetting other people. They like throwing their weight around. Jason Cavea. Welcome, Jason. Thanks. You're a bit late. Don't worry. He says, I've just got back from my spiritualist church. Oh, hope you had a good time. Did you get a message? I used to go to spiritualist churches. The problem is my local one, the one I go to, they put a bloody mandate for they've got a C word pass mandate. It's ridiculous. I mean, they put this in before it was even law, and they've still got it now. I think. Either way, I'm not going back there if they're going to do things like that. Michel says religious literature is full of aliens. It is indeed, especially the Vedas, which are of India, which are some of the oldest religious texts in the world. Deansy, does Reeves from The Mindset have a channel? He's done a revamped Paratalk. He has. He started his own independent Paratalk. I don't know if he's on YouTube, but he does have I think I forgot what platform he broadcasts from. But you could find him very easily. Nihilist Lives Matters talks about Robbie from EastEnders. He was photographed with a different page 3 girl every week. I wonder what they saw in a rich, acne-ridden, awkward teenager. Yeah. Oh, it's Easter. Oh God, EastEnders was bloody awful. I'm gonna do another video, about TV. You know, you remember those films video, my favourite film videos. I'm gonna do another one about TV. Thanks, everyone. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. But yeah, I mean, it must be. The thing about being rich and famous is like people are always going to want to be around you. They're always going to hang. They always want to hang out with you. They want to be a mate. You know, the opposite sex will want to shag you. And I personally couldn't bear the thought that if you take away these things I have, my wealth or my fame, if I'm like a rock star or a soap star or something like that, actor, they wouldn't look twice at me. And I couldn't bear that. To me, that would be just like, I'd feel shallow. It'd be something very, very shallow to do. Araminta says, I reckon Dolan has a massive ego and he's threatened by your integrity and knowledge, Ben. Oh, thanks, Araminta. But, I think he certainly felt threatened by me for some reason, which is weird because I've been treating him very politely. As I said, I was there in an official capacity. I had a press pass. I did a brief interview with him. And I was perfectly civil to him. Maybe he just sensed something about me. I don't know. Ferdinand Gollier. My spiritualist church was having a clairvoyant night, but it was cancelled due to unforeseen circumstances. Deansy mentions Proven Mohan and the videos about Hindu temples. Oh, they've got like they've got a flying saucer in the basement to one of them, so they reckon it's not been proved, but there's something really weird. But there's like this ancient temple somewhere in India. I think it's in the south of India, and they have no one knows what's inside it, but the rumor is there's a Vimana in there, which is like some kind of anti-gravity craft. Charles says, Ben wouldn't be Ben without his Falstaffian girth. Better wide than a dick. Yeah, that's Sir John Falstaff is a Shakespearean character. Yeah, I'm fitter than I look, though. I mean, I think I don't. It doesn't bother me that I'm quite broad. I look after my health and I let my body find its own weight. Hello, Hachi, welcome. Ben, we've been brainwashing since birth. All our origins hidden. Love and respect. Keep up the good work. Woof from me and the dog. Thanks, Hachi. I will. Deansy says there's a huge complex under the Taj Mahal. Really? I want the dragon juice now. I've run out of coffee. One Life Man. Hello, the Book of Enoch. Yeah, very interesting, that. Yeah. Charles says Oliver Hardy was fit. Was he? Was he fit? Oh. Some people just are a particular shape, I think the word is ectomorph. Was it an endomorph? Ectomorph are people who are naturally skinny. Endomorphs are people who are naturally chubby. Anyway, I don't know if we're ever going to find out more about the Los Angeles invasion, attack, the air raid. It'd be really great to find the negative of that photograph. Or find more mesomorphs, as Claire. That's someone who's naturally muscular, I think. To find the negative would be great. It really would. Oh, Charles says Oliver Hardy was a professional dancer, can move like lightning. Oh, cool. So anyone who thought they could slap his face and run away would be in for a nasty shock, because he'd come after them and they thought, I'll get away from him easily, but. He was very funny. He and Stan were very, very funny. Even Stan Laurel. I went to his birthplace. Did you see the video I made? I went to Stan Laurel's birthplace, which is I think South Shields, near Newcastle. Claire says the negative will be buried in the Smithsonian. It's possible the negative was actually confiscated. These things happen. I mean, with the Westall incident, when the researchers went to try and find the original videotape in the archives of the TV studio for the news programs, it was gone. Everything else was there, but this particular news story was gone. Peaceful Warrior. Can we just get the fake alien invasion over, lol? Well, we've come full circle, haven't we, Peaceful Warrior? Because that's what I was talking about on Friday night. What's next? What's the next card they're going to play? What cards have they got up their sleeve? Maybe this is the last card. The last card. Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space. Will be the 8 evil aliens, yeah. Oh, right. Claire says, Ben, I've been trying to get your attention on Gray's being a transhumanist future timeline. Oh, sorry, I didn't see your comment, Claire. The thing about you can't actually travel backwards in time. It's not possible physically. However, what you can do is you can recreate. You can essentially simulate time travel through the many worlds hypothesis. So it's possible they are creatures from a dimension which is identical to or even closely resembles Earth's future. That is perfectly possible. They're not literally from the future, they can't be, but they are possibly something that is related to us, which may be why they have an interest in us. Trevor, how you doing, mate? Social Dilemma is here. Check his channel out. There's a long interview with me there. Virulent Aura says, it seems a forever enigma, this Battle of LA thing. It's any evidence has been tampered with, any witness sworn to secrecy during wartime. It's, yes, indeed. It's possible that evidence might come to light. It's possible that with a disclosure issue, which is why I'm going to include the disclosure thing with this particular. Let's have a look. I'm including a link to my disclosure portal on the notice. It's actually in the show notes, in the description box, and I'm also going to add this particular program to my UFO disclosure portal. If there could be evidence out there, it could be that the photo negatives, there may be other photographs that were confiscated, like with Westall and many other UFO events. Government agents they capture photographs, and it could be that will come to light at some point, maybe in the post-disclosure world. And of course, there's lots of secrecy during wartime. This was like a new thing. This was a new kind of war for Americans, or at least it was the kind of war they hadn't had to suffer for about 150 years almost, where their own homeland is attacked. To be an American, when it comes to war, if you're American, it tends to be things detached from your own life. They're foreign wars, it's like Vietnam. They send people over to Vietnam. There's no Vietnamese attacks on the United States. This is why 9/11 had such a horrific effect on the American mass consciousness. And it was intended to. That was its purpose. And this was very similar. Pearl Harbor was very, very similar. And indeed, this is what you're looking at with the Battle of Los Angeles, is that very thing. You're seeing it's a product, whatever the cause of it was, and it may well have been an extraterrestrial spaceship. It's no surprise that the moment it was detected, there was a completely excessive response because of what had just happened, because they were expecting an attack by the Japanese. Anything that appeared in the sky like that night would have been seen as a Japanese weapon, and it would have been attacked. So that kind of fear is another thing. Ferdinand Gollier correctly says the Smithsonian has the remains of giants. Yeah, they've actually got the skulls and they've got the bones. And the Amerindian legends are correct about giants. Where are we now? Glass says there's divergent timelines. There are. That's the many worlds hypothesis, yeah. Pat Wright says walk, next card, followed by famine. It's like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, isn't it? We've had pestilence, haven't we? Pestilence is what we got at the moment. What is it? There's war, famine, and death. No, sorry, war. It was conquest, war, famine, death. What was pestilence? Where did pestilence come into it, though? Hugo says time is not a dimension. Yeah. It's I don't think you can travel backwards in it. It's you can go forwards in time. Or I don't know what you think of Einstein, Hugo, but supposedly if you accelerate near the speed of light, you go forward a long way in time. As I said on Friday night, I think the food shortages is probably the most likely next card, followed by blackout, electricity being cut off, because of the evil Russian hackers, which then takes us into the last night's live stream. So there's a connection between all these live streams I've done this weekend. I've done 3 of them. I'm treating you, won't I? Which of course would be war. It seems like the Biden administration in particular is being very aggressive about all this. It's really reckless to do that. It's almost like they want Russia to react. And then, of course, the next one is, of course, climate change, a massive climate event, the Gulf Stream cutting off, something like that. And, of course, another is, it's unlikely, but I do believe it's possible that a fake alien invasion will actually come about very soon. Yeah. John Nolan mentions Oliver went on a diet. He lost so much weight and it killed him. I saw there's a video of him and Stan, and Ollie's like, it's just before Ollie died. Ollie died, yeah, and he's like really skinny. He's lost all that weight, and his skin is just hanging off him because that's what. If you're very large and you lose weight, your skin gets very loose. 3 in a row, legend reel. That's not bad, is it? Charles says Carol has changed that story so many times, though. Verna was a personal friend. He wasn't a friend. She worked with him. She didn't work with him, etc. Well. I've seen a few of her talks and I've listened to her interviews with Greer and things like that. I don't remember that bit, but what was you've got to ask her to clarify on that. Yeah. Oh, Trevor says I'm doing a time travel show on Nocturnal Radio. Oh, cool! You're going to be on Nocturnal tonight. Nocturnal Frequencies. I was on a couple of times, except it's like 3 a.m. where I am, but that'd be interesting, yeah. Jason says, Ben, would you consider talking and stone circles? Do you mean talking about stone circles? I'm interested in them. I mean, Maria Wheatley is the expert on that. Charles says he told her while he was still working. He made a deathbed confession an hour before he died. It doesn't work, Ben. Well, yeah, she may be concealing details there, yeah. I mean, it may not be because she made the story up. There may be another reason. It could be because she needs to hold back some information for data protection reasons or privacy. But, yeah, I'd be interested to see that. You have emailed me a couple of times with things. So, by all means, send me the details. Cosmic Claire mentions the Mandela effect. Oh, don't get me started on that. Araminta, have you done anything on the mysterious hums? I mean, as in noises, not smells. I have an intermittent hum where I live, and it drives me nuts. It's not repetitive, but random. Is it definitely not? It's definitely not tinnitus inside your ear. Because I get that. So every so often, about once a week, I get tinnitus or tinnitus or whatever it is in my ear, where I hear a noise. I've always had that. Is it external? Like if you put your fingers in your ears, does it stop or does it carry on? But it does. Certain places, and Wales. There's a lot of it in Wales, and the cause of it is not known. And Hachi says, Ben, everything has gone dormant in the last 2 weeks, and by golly, have attitudes changed with certain mainstream presenters? It shouldn't be allowed. World peace. Let's prepare for war. Hatchie, did you see Friday's live stream where I talk about what's going on? What's going on with the lockdown's over all of a sudden? What? Certainly in several countries, including England. The Crafty Knight is the Queen dead or something next. There's a lot of disruption in the old reptile house lately. I actually think maybe she's already died, and they haven't told us yet. Maybe like Fidel Castro, And I don't mean the one in Canada. I mean the one in Cuba. That maybe she's gone, and they're just waiting for the right time to tell us. I don't know. Claire says strictly linear timeline, so ultimately a materialist reductionist model which excludes spiritual dimensions of evolution. Oh yeah, I don't believe that it's just linear timelines. I do believe that there are different dimensions. Yeah, I do. It's coming from outside. Of other people in Europe where you live suffered from it, because Wales is it's a particularly bad place for the hum. It tends to be coastlines. It tends to be certain areas. Some people have connected it to electricity pylons, power stations, military radar, ocean currents, all kinds of things. But do other people have it? Welsh Ripper, what's your views on the Skinwalker Ranch? Oh, that's interesting. That's bloody interesting, that is. Claire says Mandela effect implies some reverse time effects. Well, funnily enough, Claire, there's an experiment. They did a double slit experiment variation in Australia recently, and they find out that amazingly, information at least does appear to travel backwards in time at the quantum level. As if so, for example, the particle that goes down towards the double slit not only reacts to whether it's being observed or not, but reacts before the decision is made whether to observe it or not. How does it know? Very interesting, isn't it? As for Skinwalker Welsh Ripper, it's very interesting. I couldn't even go into it too much detail, but it's a very, very interesting. TK says it's not true about a particle. Is it not? All right. A fairground of paranormal activity, says Greg H. It is indeed. There was a new TV series about it. It was very interesting. Charles says the Mandela effect. That's funny because I swear I used to be married to Tracy Dolan. Well, that's it. It's weird, isn't it, Charles? That's one of the nicer dimensions, probably. Although I don't know. But Crafty Nice, you got the hum too, and it's DUMBs, deep underground military bases. TK says the whole term observed messes everything up. All right. All I know is what from like what the bleep do we know and things like that. Clopite, Philadelphia experiment thoughts. Well, I think didn't it? I can't remember all the details. I think there was never a confession, but apparently someone said Al Bielek made it all up. I'd just gone over to the idea that it was all fake, and it would all been made up because there was Al Bielek and there was that other guy. And then there was that amazing thing on the UFO hunters. Richard Dolan was actually on that episode where they found the underground base. They found the underground chambers at Montauk, exactly where the witnesses had said they were. That's pretty weird, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, the whole time travel thing I don't buy unless it was like it was like a parallel universe thing. But the ship actually was the USS Eldridge. Did continue to serve. It ended up in the Greek Navy, and there were no reports of any weird effects from the Greek Navy about it. TK, check out Sean M. Carroll about Quantum Many Worlds. Will do, mate. Will do. Goodness me, it's been going on for quite a long time. Does anyone? Freelance says the log did go missing. Yeah. It did appear there was some kind of... I wish I could remember all about it. I can't, but... the Montauk project is... See, the Montauk thing was very, very weird because they did find there's something weird about Fort Hood on the Montauk Island. It's not just an abandoned station. There is an underground facility there. Or at least they used to be. And Richard Dolan, they found these like manhole covers, and Richard Dolan climbed down this ladder, but it was flooded. The seawater's got into it, and it's flooded, basically. TK says, what was the battle for LA? Well, that's what this whole live stream's been about. Crafty Nice said, oh no, there's a Romeo and Juliet play in London called Anne Juliet. Oh, dearie me. Woke shite, yeah. TK says the incident occurred. Yes, it did. It occurred in 1942, same year as... Is there a connection to the Battle for Los Angeles? I don't think so, no. Deansy says there's a town... Oh, you mentioned Ammanford, the Ammanford mystery, yeah. Not only have I heard of it, Deansy, I know Alan very well, Alan and Christine. If you listen to her Panama Radio, I've interviewed them many times about the tunnels and the underground bases and things. Albert Orman, hello. What are your views on the 1978 case of a family from Oxfordshire encountering beings from Janos? If it's the case that you're thinking of, very, very significant. In fact, there's a guy who he runs Contact International, which is based in Wheatley, not far from me. He knows. He actually. I spoke to him about it because I did an article for UFO Truth magazine about this, and he says, yeah, the man's for real. He doesn't want it. The reason he hasn't come forward because he was a lecturer at the Oxford Polytechnic, what's now Oxford Brookes University. But he did indeed have an encounter somewhere near Farringdon in 1978. It has all the usual tropes, missing time, stuff like that. He was there with there was 4 people in the car, him, his wife, and his 2 kids. It was late at night, somewhere near Farringdon, west of Oxford. Yeah. Charles, it says, I'm getting worried. Where's Liberace? Yeah, it's weird. It's very, very strange, isn't it? Charles, he's gone quiet. I did see him a few weeks ago, but I don't see him as much as I used to. I don't know, maybe he's got a hot date and he goes to see her. I don't know. Manchester in Blue, hello. I'm still upset about your boss firing you because they found her Panmo TV. Oh, thanks, Manchester. I appreciate your support. It's 10 years ago now, and I actually did a gas banner show about it. I've kind of moved on from it, but I mean, it was very, very unjust, yeah. I'm glad I stood up to them, though. I'm glad I did. TK, yeah, the Battle of Los Angeles happened just after the start of World War II from the American side point. Yeah, just after America entered. Vrillon says there was a former radar operator from Montauk, says she witnessed UFO interceptions and shootdowns in the 60s or 70s. It was on Linda Moulton Howe's show. Funny enough, one of the reports of the Battle of Los Angeles was that there was unconfirmed reports of aircraft being shot down. Now, it was probably in all the confusion, there were all kinds of contradictory reports coming out that night. Everyone was basically suffering from group psychosis because they were so frightened, and there was all these weird things were happening around them. But I think there doesn't seem to be any evidence for this, but could it be that there was a crash retrieval there? If so, then no one seems to know about it. As I said, I knew Gareth. Gareth was a local to Los Angeles. He knew people he knew some he met some elderly people who remember the 1942 attack, and said that there was an object that was floating all over Los Angeles. It was actually in the sky above Los Angeles. Shall sing the ODO song? No, no way, not now. I'll do it another day. Evening, Paul Armstrong. Hello. Oh, Cosmic Claire mentions Gigi Young and Rudolf Steiner. Yeah, very interesting. Liberace, where is Liberace? Yeah. It may come back at some point. I don't know. I've been going nearly 2 hours. Shall I call it a night? I mean, I've treated you this weekend. You've had 3 whole live streams. But I mean, if I hadn't got the date wrong, for the Los Angeles thing, I would have just I wouldn't have done a live stream tonight. But I thought it was January, not February, so I thought I'd do one now. Welsh Ripper says, I thought this fella was a right nut. 30 minutes into one of his videos, I was seeing things. He has said on YouTube, homesteading off-the-grid Bigfoot. Who's that, Welsh Ripper? Sounds like Trevor. Michael Snow, have you heard about the Doddleston messages? Messages from the future, supposedly on an old BBC computer. Now, someone keeps sending me this. So I've not watched it. Neil Geddes Ward sent me this. I haven't watched it yet. I know the video you mean. One of those old big BBC microcomputers. I'm just old enough to remember them. I had a Spectrum Plus myself, but my friend had like a big BBC computer. Charles is trying to pull my strings now. It's not Hospital Porter. It's ODO. Ugh. Don't you dare. David Schultz, you off. Take it easy, mate. I'm going to finish in a minute as well. So thanks for joining us. Vrillon says it was big like the LA UFO. It must have been something like the Stevenson UFO. It was a mile-long cylinder-type craft. Well, Vrillon, the actual size of the object in the photograph, it's very hard to tell because we know the photo's been retouched. We've got one print from it. We got the original print. We can't find the original negative. The print's been retouched, and you can't really tell exactly. I suppose if you could work out where the searchlights were on the ground, you could triangulate the altitude of the object and its distance from the camera, because you can see the searchlight beams, and then you would be able to estimate probably quite accurately its size. I don't think it's a mile long though. It's maybe 100 feet long, something like that. Abator man, have you seen the Calvine photograph? No, that's gone. That's gone missing again. Nick Pope had a big print of it on his office wall, but the original's gone again. See it night, Michelle. I'm going to finish in a minute, even though someone started me off again. Well, Stripper, I've heard a lot about homesteading lately. Michael Snow was on a program in the 90s where I was young. It was apparently taken by a pair of hikers in Scotland. They took a photograph of what looks like... There's only one. You can't really see... It could be diamond-shaped or square. You can't really tell. But it appears to... It has a diamond presentation in the photograph. Yes, less than average. The Spectrum 48K. Oh, that was good, wasn't it? Yeah. Night, David Schultz. TK, do you think there will be a second battle for LA? Oh, God. I hope not, obviously. And also, well, I wouldn't mind seeing a sighting, but not like that bloody awful film. That was a really trashy movie, that was. It really was. Nothing as it seems. Hello. Please keep going, Mr. Jones. I only tuned in 15 minutes ago. Oh, I mean, I can't go on forever, guys. I've got to pace myself when I'm doing multiple live streams. Night, Ben. I'm still and it's still an ODO. Charles, it's not an ODO, it's Porter. Night. Anyway, guys. Night, Charles. Night, Crafty. Amiga. Oh, good grief. Computer history here we're going through. Take care, Dean Z. Night, guys. Yeah. Thanks for being here. Ferdinand, you're very welcome. Glad you enjoyed the stream. It's been fun. There'll be other videos. I've got other videos planned. I'm going to do a video about TV along the lines of my videos I did over Christmas about films. And Agent Rin is coming back. Yes. And what else have I got planned? I can't remember. I've got it all down in notes anyway. Night User 1. User 1 still here from the beginning. Night User 1. Cosmic Claire. Oh, Gigi Young just uploaded something. Oh, cool. I've heard... Did Lisa mention Gigi Young? I can't remember. But I like... Rudolf Steiner's very interesting. Thanks, Vrillon. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye, Michael Snow. You guys have been great. Keep watching the skies. Crafty Nice. Ben's favourite porn... films? I'm not going to tell you that. Oh, yeah, Charles, you know, Ben is going to talk to a girl. They're getting married. Charles, you know Agent Rin's agenda. You're the one who put her on to me, so you tell me. Anyway, guys, it's been good fun. Look out for upcoming videos. See you, Crafty Niners. Take it easy. Night, night, everyone. Thanks for watching the stream. Keep watching the skies, especially if you live in Los Angeles. All the best.